All right, welcome to Live from My Drum Room. My guest is the mighty Sterling Campbell, and today we'll do a deep dive into Sterling's incredible 40-plus year career, which includes David Bowie, Soul Asylum, Duran Duran, the B-52s, Cyndi Lauper, just to name a few. We'll play some tracks from some of these artists and much more. So come along for the ride and please welcome Sterling Campbell. Sterling, welcome.
Hey,
Nice to see you, buddy.
it's good to see you.
Thanks for being here. I'm glad we could make this happen. You've been a busy man. I appreciate you fitting me in your busy schedule. You just got back from a rock and roll cruise. I thought maybe we could talk about that for a second.
Yeah. Yeah, I got back with my old band Soul Asylum from the 90s, and I got a call a couple of weeks ago about filling in for them because I don't usually play with them that much anymore.
Okay, yeah.
And that's Michael Bland who's usually doing that. Yeah, it was cool. I never did a cruise before, and truth be told, I had rotator cuff surgery in November, so it was my first time playing since that, and it was 3 hour-and-a-half shows, so I was glad that went well.
That's great.
And it was a lot of fun. I'd never been on a cruise, and I was pretty blown away by the size of it.
Yeah.
But, that's when the snowstorm happened, so I kind of dodged the bullet there.
You sure did, man. I know when you told me, I was like so envious if you at the time we spoke, you were down, and I think you said you were in Tampa getting ready to go, or maybe you'd already were underway.
Fort Lauderdale. Yeah, I think I was in
Fort Lauderdale. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So I didn't realize, I wondered, and I forgot that Michael had been doing the Soul Asylum gig for some time. So so you came in, and when was the last time you'd played with those guys before the
I actually did something. I've been subbing for Michael, basically, when he can't do the gig. So I did something for them in September, last September. And every once in a while, it shows up.
And when you, like a gig like this, like the cruise, for example, was there any rehearsing, or were you able to just kind of just...
Yeah, we had one rehearsal, but I'm pretty much on my own. I mean, I have like my way of figuring stuff out. I got a setup here at home, a practice setup, and just figure out the songs.
Yeah. And it's probably a lot of the material you've played many times anyway, so... So it's probably not that you can kind of just...
Yeah, some of it I just have to remember the arrangement.
Yeah. That's great, man. That's great. That's great that you have that kind of situation too, where like Michael, for example, can depend on, if assuming you can do it, that if he can't, he's got a great, sub, so to speak, to come in and do the gig. So
yeah. No, it's a lot of fun, because I'm not usually playing Soul Asylum music, and
well, we're gonna talk about that a little bit later on too. But sorry, you were gonna say.
No, I mean, just I had just finished doing a year with Cyndi Lauper, so it was like a nice change.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you say that, because Cyndi was really kind of the first thing that I wanted to bring up today, because that's what I recall the first time being where I saw you play was 1986 or 87, that concert. And I think it was on HBO or something, but you joined her band in 86, and then they did this live concert.
Yeah.
And just as a little segue, an old friend of ours, Chris Wilford, sent me a note the other day, and he wanted me to ask you this question. I think he's watching today, but in case he wasn't able to watch, he said, "Can you ask Sterling this question?" And I said, "Of course." So here's the question. He said, "You were playing in a number of local bands in and around the city in 85, 83, 85-ish. The Pedantics, I believe was one of them. And how did you make the jump from playing in local bands to getting the gig with Cyndi Lauper?"
Okay, so I had a show with the Pedantics the day before the audition. The bass player came in, and there was no plan. He just said, "Hey, Cindy's auditioning drummers, and she hasn't gotten one yet. Are you you want to come and try out? And so, yeah, so I went down and I didn't, the funny thing is like in my head, I was very naive. Like, I want to play with Peter Gabriel and David Bowie. I went into it with this, like, I didn't care attitude.
Yeah.
And then I got the gig and the manager came out and said, "Hey, listen, Cyndi wants to go with you." And I went to him like, "Hey man, I'm not sure." And he just looked at me and put his arms around me and took me outside. This is at SIR Studios, and kind of just, explain what was going on and what was going to happen, because it was, was Madonna against Cyndi. MTV was in full flight. We just had Live Aid. That music was just so culturally hot around the world, So it was a big deal.
And she was, 1986, still huge. I mean, she'd been around for a few years, like you said, but huge.
Oh, and then she blew me away because I didn't really know. Yeah. And then just knew basically one or two songs. And then I saw her perform and I was like, holy crap.
Well, so I was going to ask you, when you auditioned, was she not there? Was it like the musical director?
Yeah, she was there, but she wasn't like in full, she wasn't pushing herself or anything.
Yeah. And I'm sure she wanted to get, for all the people coming in, it was, you guys are the ones that were auditioning, not her. So she was kind of like getting a vibe from the room. And that's so funny though. You were like, what, 22 years old at the time. So you were, that would make sense that you were kind of like innocently, almost like naive to the whole business part of it, of just like, well, I don't know. I don't know if I want to play this music. I think I might want to play something else.
Well, I mean, my blinders was on, working with kind of Gabriel and Bowie, and I saw both of those shows. And like, I saw Gabriel in 1982, and it was so groundbreaking and totally original music.
Yeah.
At the time, and he was working with the, sequences and things like that. So it was totally in like my time of the 80s.
Yeah. Wow. Well, talking about Cyndi, I want to play just a quick video. And this is from that concert we were talking about from I think it's 1987. So almost 40 years ago in Paris. And this is for everybody watching. This is, to me, it's twofold, because Sterling, you're playing your butt off. It was the first time I'd seen you play, and I remember thinking, who is this guy? And I found out Sterling Campbell, and we met a few years later when I was working at Zildjian. But Cyndi, I mean, this to me just demonstrates why she is just such an amazing artist.
Yeah.
Vocalist. I mean, just like one of the absolute greatest ever, really.
She's amazing. And the last tour we just did, like 40 years on, she's even more.
I know,
on
man.
fire.
Yeah.
I mean, singing full voice, unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, this is cool. I want to, after we watch this, it's just kind of an interesting, and this is what the sort of drum kits of the time were, what you're playing. It's a double bass Pearl kit, cymbals up high, and not what we see you using now. And I remember seeing you with Soul Asylum in the 90s, and you were playing I think a 4-piece kit at the time, but or something like that. But this is so cool to see you making this work the way you do, and stretching, and this is Money Changes Everything from Cyndi Lauper, 1987, live in Paris. And this is just phenomenal. Sterling Campbell. There's a fill coming up at 3 minutes and 18 seconds. Check out this fill. Okay, here it comes. Was that kind of an example of kind of how you were playing at that time? Was that kind of what your, like some of what your
not in the
your style
bands,
was?
not in the bands that I played in. That was really just kind of cosplaying Dennis Davis and Mel Gaynor, and that's really what that was, And because if you listen to like Stage, David Bowie's Stage, I mean, which is the tour I saw, that's a lot of Dennis Davis, like my version of it,
Yeah, yeah.
Those fills, that fill was like a very Dennis Davis thing to do.
Yeah, he was a great drummer, man.
Man, he's the reason why I'm playing, basically.
Yeah, yeah. I know we'll definitely talk about that too. The influence he had, and I know he brought you to see a David Bowie concert, right? When you were pretty young, and like that was.
Yeah, I mean, I saw him in the lobby one day. I didn't know who he was. He had a cymbal bag. I said, "Hey, where you going?" He said, "I have a show." This was 1978. "Hey, I have a show. I'm playing Madison Square Garden with David Bowie." Now, I was more like to know somebody. I didn't really know David's music, but to actually know somebody who was going to play Madison Square Garden. Because it's hard to paint that picture to people, because playing the Garden, then you had to be Zeppelin, Stevie Wonder, Earth, Wind, and Fire. You had to be like super high level.
Yeah, yeah.
To grace that place. So Elton John, I saw this, I saw Elton at his height there, 76 tour. And David was for me, totally at his height. That was the Heroes tour that I saw.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. And that changed my course.
Did you ever in your wildest dreams think that you'd play with him someday? I mean, that you'd be his drummer?
Well, like in my head, that's where I wanted to go. I mean,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
without, with, no pursuit though, I didn't really have like, I was very lucky and fortunate in the timing, everything. I got to give Kevin Jenkins. He's the one who came up to me after the show with the gig with the Pedantics and said, "Hey, listen, Cindy's auditioning a drummer." It all
Yeah.
like that's if I had to base my career, it's all just kind of been like,
Wow.
okay,
And and is he still Cindy's bass player? Does he still play with her?
no, no,
No.
I don't think so. No,
No.
no, no,
Okay.
he's not.
But that's him in the video with you.
He was
That
awesome.
and he's what a great.
Kevin
I mean,
Jenkins.
yeah.
Yeah.
The next thing I was going to ask you is who, and then you had said that he was the guy that said you should come to the audition. Yeah. I mean, you guys were so locked. I mean, like you must have had a blast playing with him. Just
I mean, looking at that video now at the age I'm at and her like freaking like revving it up at the end because this last year that tempo has come down a lot.
of course, yeah, of course, yeah. I was going
And
to ask you that. Yeah.
I mean, this when we're doing it, like I was like, Cindy, I'm trying to keep the intensity up, but please end this song. Because she would just go and keep going and she's rolling on the ground and like bump off the ground and end this dance. I'm like exhausted.
Yeah. Yeah. No, man, I know.
It's
I
like
mean,
I'm looking at my whatever 22-year-old self, like, shit, man, where did those muscles go?
you had,
That
I
muscle
mean,
memory.
yeah, I'm boundless energy. And that was the first thing that struck me when I first saw you play in that video back then was like, you're like, I can't really put it into words, Sterling, but it wasn't even so much the energy, because certainly the energy, but it was just like an aggressiveness, but with finesse. Do you know what I mean? Like you have this, like the aggressiveness of like Billy Cobham, but also with the finesse of just, you know,
Honestly, I don't even know. All I know is I got to see amazing music and see how it's done. I saw a moving pictures tour, Rush.
yeah,
I seen, GAD. I've seen so many things that gave me a template to work from. When to turn the intensity on. Like I said, I learned that a lot of that from Dennis.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it's a pretty amazing period, man. I was so glad to be a listener and not actually in it for a long time.
yeah, yeah,
It was almost like you're in, it was like you saw Star Wars and people are still dressing up as Luke Skywalker because the impact of it was so much. So I'd rather watch it and be a participant in the beginning because it was just so much fun and music was amazing to watch and to be a listener and be excited about it.
yeah. I totally get what you're saying. It was, yeah. I mean, a little older than you, but going to shows at that time in the 70s and in the 80s. I mean, it was such an experience, that like, because we didn't have phones and we weren't trying to like record shit up on the screen. We were just like there to just watch it and listen to it.
But the memory of it was so hard and impactful, like you didn't
Yeah.
need it. It's in there.
Right.
It's on your desktop on your brain in the
Right.
photo section.
Yeah. No, you're right. Because I can remember those shows I saw as a teenager in the 70s. I saw David Bowie in Station to Station 76, maybe.
Hmm.
And like I had seen a few bands before, like the Stones and Elton John and some of these other bands at that time. And it must have been Dennis Davis playing drums at that time too.
In 76, it was Dennis.
Yeah. And what I remembered mostly about that, of course, being a drummer and watching him, was how funky he was. And I don't even think I knew his name at the time,
Hmm.
but compared to other bands that I'd seen, like he just stood out because he was just so funky. He was
Yeah.
just like the groove and everything was just like so up front.
Well, I mean, kudos to David for like how he decided he was just going to go down that direction with his music after coming over from England and then just going. He's working with people like he's thinking one thing and they're thinking another thing, and he's just
Yeah.
taking in what they're doing and then superimposing whatever he's gonna do
Yeah.
under that. It was amazing. I mean, that's what he did all the time. He was pretty much let you go and do your own thing.
Amazing. What a genius. What a genius. And so I do want to talk about also just to back up a minute. You went to the High School of Music and Art in New York City.
Hmm.
And I know, I know this, and I probably a lot of your fans know this, but so many other great musicians, drummers, friends of ours went to school, and you were classmates with a lot of these guys. And maybe you can, like Charlie Drayton
Larry
and
Aberman
Larry Aberman and Ben Porowski, I think, right?
and Porowski. Yeah, and in junior high school, Zach and I, we weren't in the same,
Oh
but
yeah, Zach Alford.
his school is like an annex, but we were around each other.
Yeah, unbelievable, man. And
Yeah,
and all
and I took him to Dennis's house. When Dennis moved into the building, and it was like that was the place to hang out. So we both went over to Dennis's place.
you and Zach,
Yeah.
you and Zach Alford, two guys that played with David Bowie.
Mhm. But
Amazing.
also, I mean, but we're tripping on Omar Hakim
Yeah,
because it was this weird baton thing,
right.
especially in the David Bowie camp, like Dennis to Omar and Tony Thompson, and even Poogie Bell
Oh
played on
yeah,
with
yeah,
David.
yeah. That's right.
And Poogie, we were all like kind of like Poogie Bell fans. It's incredible. Charlie
So
Drake,
yeah. So so
Tony James.
how old were you like when you brought Zach over to meet Dennis? Like you were just teenagers like in school? Like
16, yeah.
yeah.
16, 17 years old.
And you guys are about the same age, right? I mean,
I think I'm like a year older than Zach.
you're, okay, yeah. And I think Charlie's maybe a year younger than you two, get around there. But like you guys all hung out together in school and
Well, Charlie was already freaking miles ahead of all of us, man. He was already playing, we're playing with Shaka and David Sanborn, and I mean, it was amazing.
yeah, yeah. What I mean, just
And
I
that,
think
that
about
school was incredible because we also went to the school with a lot of the jazz greats kids. So I went to school with Gil Evans kids, Miles
mm,
Evans and Noah, and just go down to West Beth and there's Gil Evans.
man,
And I went to school with Ron Carter's kid Miles.
wow,
I mean, now the whole Upper West Side where I lived was like jazz central. In fact, like I think on 100th Street at one point, like Max, Elvin, and Art Blakey lived in the same building.
yeah, possibly,
So,
yeah.
so I forgot if that,
Was it Central
at
Park
100,
West?
yeah, Central Park West on 100th Street.
Yeah, because I
I'm on
know
100. Yeah.
okay, because I went to Elvin's place a few times and he was definitely up that end of Central
Yeah.
Park West. Yeah. And I think I heard that actually, Sterling, that they all at one time lived in that
Yeah.
building.
Yeah. And Miles Davis lived on like, I think 72nd or something like that. Ron Carter lived like 70 on West End. Barry Ashos,
Mm,
is that the name?
yeah. Barry
But
Ashhouse. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, a lot of and in my building in the 70s, early 80s, there was about 5 or 6 drummers in the building, in the Manhattan building, practicing in our building.
Wow. Yeah. What a great time.
Yeah.
What a great moment.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we might have gotten on people's nerves, but there was something to the arts were coveted, like people, there was a thing for the arts in the
Yeah.
city at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. So just jumping forward a little bit again to Cyndi, and you played with Cyndi for a few years, right? I mean, you did that through the end of the 80s. Do you,
No,
no?
no,
What?
like, okay, I mean, I want to back up a little bit because when I saw David in 78, without really knowing his music, I didn't realize music could be this expansive, you know? And so I really got into basically that style of music. And I mean, because I was listening to everything,
Yeah.
Carbon, Jean-Luc Ponty. In fact, I saw Steve Smith the other day at Euphoria Studios, and it's like, hey, Steve, you know, it's like, and then I was listening to him with Jean-Luc Ponty and, you know, huge, all these dudes. It's just like, it's kind
Yeah.
of, these people were like massive. It's like, you know, you hanging out with Han Solo. That's how big for me they were, you know.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
were like superheroes, all these guys. But after the David thing, like I was really into like kind of art rock, you know. So I started getting into Roxy and I started getting really into the Euro side of things. And when I saw David in 78, he was kind of already in the 80s.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that really propelled me going into the 80s. And I started playing with bands and I started hanging out downtown, which I was an uptown boy. Started hanging out downtown and now I got into the Pedantics and we became this band that was opening up for all those like post-punk bands, all the new MTV acts from Till Tuesday, Simply Red. We were like the opening act. So we got to
Yeah.
see, you know, not only were we watching MTV, but we got to see all these new things. So I think I got the Cyndi gig because I was in very much like I kind of like went from like, you know, I was really into like jazz fusion and all that, but I got into like, oh wow, this is how like the 80s goes. And I mean, I
Hmm.
was really into it. And I was into bands like Simple Minds. And, you know, that's the first time I saw Mel Gaynor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think my playing probably suited that music at, you know, I was of my time and at that age, and I had the energy to do it. But after Cindy finished, funny enough, Sammy Marandino, have you ever interviewed him?
I haven't. No, I
You
should get him
need to
on here.
interview him
Yeah.
and Jimmy Brailauer because they played a huge role with the drum machine and they're playing and the melding of those two things. I mean, Sammy was another huge influence on me. He said, "Are you available to play with Cameo?"
Oh man.
And it was the Word Up tour, and that was a trip.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got to do it, but it was a trip. And then I decided I'm gonna go. No, I'm gonna go to England. I just like you know, just out of nowhere, decided I'm going to England.
Wow. So this was
So
like
I
the late
really
eight. This is after Cindy.
this is '87. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So
Yep.
the Cindy tour finished like '87, and then for like a month or two, I played with Cameo, and then I said I'm going to England, and I didn't have a plan or anything. But the minute I got off the airplane, I don't know, things just happened. There was this band called So that just got signed to EMI, and they were kind of being touted as like the next like Tears for Fears. So there was a lot of like you know, there was a lot going on with like
Yeah.
sequencers and all
Yeah.
this stuff. So I got even, you know, I was always into that and playing with that stuff. So every step was always like another step to something else. And then from there, I got a phone call I think it was Simon LeBon called me. It's like, hey, Sterling, we're going on tour. It wasn't no audition, no nothing. It
No.
was just like, you're going on tour. You want to go on tour? And
Had you met
I'm like,
him, Sterling? Did you like?
no.
He just knew he who knew your work. He knew your playing, and
I don't know. I think it was a matter like Ferroni just did the tour, and I think he went to Clapton, and they needed a
yeah.
drummer for the tour. Like them knowing the latest and greatest, and I don't know if they knew that, and I forgot how my name came up, but I knew my band had connections with Tony Stratton Smith, who was like Genesis's guy. I don't know who made like, hey, get him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I felt like I made an impression when I was in that band. So
Hmm.
so I get a call from Simon LeBon, and
Duran Duran, man.
then it was Duran Duran. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Wow. I somehow thought that came a little later. I didn't realize that was the sort of next big
that
thing
was yeah, that was
that early.
88,
Yeah.
88.
88. And we have a track that we're going to play. Is this track from around that time?
So no,
Um,
we well that we toured first. So what happened is we toured, and I got really into it. I got into like the arrangements. I wanted, and then like about 2 or 3 months into that tour, they asked me to join the band.
Okay. Yeah.
And I mean, it was just like, okay, yeah, I got nothing else to do.
Man. And
And then,
well, I was just going to say you were still so young too. And was each gig that you're getting, like Cyndi was a huge gig, and then Duran Duran, another like huge gig. I won't say bigger, but in a sense it was like, was each time like a learning experience? Like, were you like each time, I don't even know if that's the right way to ask it, but like, were you getting more hip to the business side of it and just kind of understanding how certain things work or,
and it was so fast. I didn't really even think about it
yeah.
because everything was just like basically, okay. It was like you go in the first time I had to audition, blah, blah, blah. And also during that time, I also auditioned for George Michael's Faith Tour and Billy Idol,
Yeah.
like after Tommy left,
Hmm.
and then the Duran thing. And so there was all these like, I mean, these are in terms of MTV, like these
Oh,
were the main characters.
absolutely, man.
Um,
Absolutely.
so
Huge.
yeah, so then I joined Duran, and then it's like, to be honest with you, it's like, okay, so how do you be a rock star with like an English band that poses? I I failed. I failed. It was actually kind of traumatic because I just couldn't do the look.
I I get it, man. Yeah, no, I know that was a big part of it back then for sure. That was
Yeah.
a big part of it. Yeah.
And like I said, everything was just like, okay,
Yeah.
how would you like to join? Okay. Okay. Okay, what am I supposed to do now? I didn't know that.
You definitely had the look for Cindy's band. I thought you really, I mean, that
Well,
like,
no, well, actually, I had to fight to not wear some of the clothes she wanted me to wear. Like I felt like her son being dressed up for Easter Sunday, and it's like, Ma, I don't want to wear this. This looks stupid. I don't like these.
I remember
She had all
that.
these like multicolored things, and I was like, I can't. I
Don't
used to
make me
fight her
wear
all
it.
the time.
Yeah. No, well, I know she definitely, like you said, with the comparison to Madonna, she definitely had like an image of, I'm sure how she wanted her band to look, and I get that. And then like you say, Duran Duran was so, I mean, they were such a, at that time, especially like such a image driven, cool looking band. And Warren Cucurullo was in the band at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, great
But it
guitar
was
player.
interesting, like being in England, because you're watching also, like, okay, it's coming towards the end of the decade and things are starting to change.
Yeah, yeah,
Like that's when the whole kind of Manchester thing started happening and the clothing changed, and it was more like dressing down. And then also the electronica thing was really coming into play. The whole DJ thing was coming into play.
yeah,
And it
yeah.
was really a lot of it was great being around for all that stuff to watch it kind of, you
Did
know.
you did you get into electronics yourself much, like programming stuff and
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I didn't really understand, like I was into it more than I actually knew how to do it. And I would just do my own version of it. I didn't really understand, even though like in like the pedantics, we were pretty much playing with sequencers. I was one of the first like kind of local drummers to have Simmons
Yeah.
because I
Okay.
was really into Crimson and Octobans, and I was
Yeah.
into Crimson in Japan and Bruford and all of that stuff.
Yeah. Was that like a progressive band, Pedantics? Was that like a more prog
No,
kind of thing? No,
no. We
just
were more like I would say we were more into that multi like what kind of what Madonna was doing. We just
yeah,
couldn't totally figure it
layered
out.
kind of.
But we
Yeah,
were but we were definitely like an event.
I got you.
You
Okay.
know, it went
Yeah.
from punk, it went to this, it went to like dance music, it went to like rapping. We had people doing graffiti, like doing a whole canvas while we're playing and all kinds of stuff, man. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Wow. Do you
It's
ever
a lot
see
of,
those guys? Do you guys ever get together and play? Any of those guys still
no,
around? Or
but I stay in touch with them though, you
yeah,
know.
that's cool. So just in jumping back to Cindy for a second, when that clip we saw, "Money Changes Everything," was that playing to like a click, or were there like sequencers
Mhm.
underneath? That was all you. Just
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Great feel, great time, amazing. And was that Sue Hajopoulos playing
that was
percussion?
Sue Hajopoulos, that was
Yeah.
Rick
Okay.
Derringer,
Yeah, Rick Derringer. Yeah.
David Rosenthal.
Yeah. Man, what a band.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Sue in a long time. I knew her when she was playing with like Joe Jackson, I think, and probably Cindy also
Mhm.
when I met her in '89. And yeah, fabulous percussionist
Yeah.
and great person. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun tour.
Yeah, I'll bet it was. So anyway, I jumped backwards. So we get to be the end of the '80s and
Yeah.
we're getting into the early '90s. And was that was when you made the sort of move, or Soul Asylum asked you to come and record some
Well, no,
tracks?
that was well, first what happened was during the Duran period, I became friends with Nile Rodgers, and he
Ah,
kind of took me under his wing. And like first I did not only Nile, but also Bernard Edwards too.
man.
And I used to just like to hang out and go to the power station and just hang out there and stuff. But I got to do work with both of them. And then eventually I got to do a couple of Chic tracks. They did a Chic record. So I got to be in the room playing with
Man.
uh, Niall and Bernard,
Yeah.
which was a lot of fun. And then I get a call from Niall to ask me if I was available to play on a Bowie album.
Oh, okay.
So he came back after, you know, whatever that 10-year period from doing Let's Dance, like it's around 93. And so now, hey, what are you doing? It was another one of those. Hey, what are you doing? You know, like,
Wow.
do you think, are you available to play? I'm doing a David Bowie record. Are you available? Like, yeah, yes.
I can move some things around.
Yeah.
And this was Nile that was producing it?
Yep.
No, not Bernard. Yeah.
Yep.
Man. Oh my God. So just what was that like? Like just take us through that if you would, like the process of going into the studio and
Yeah. So I get into the studio and there's Niall and there's David, and he just had a smile on his face and a very welcoming handshake.
mm,
Hey, come in, like very like he's amazing. David was just incredible. That was like kind of the intro, no vibes. It was more just so welcoming. And
wow.
usually like when the David thing, you'll talk. They'll be talking about whatever. And then we finally get in the studio and they put up a track and I figured we're getting drum sounds and everything. And then so I just start playing along with the track. And then David, you hear like, David, great man, come in. And and that's how it started.
Wow. Had you just
No,
done a
no,
track?
no direction, no
Yeah.
direction. Just do. And honestly, to be honest with you, I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna kind of do a Dennis thing again. Start up there
Yeah.
with the Dennis David. You know, and I told David all about, you know, how all this stuff happened and with Dennis. And pretty much that's it. Like it's really I'm really kind of a boring person to talk about with the David thing because I think people want it to be more than it is. But it was usually he had chords and there was a guy who pushed the red button
Hmm.
and then it's like go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's the song, here's the idea, go.
I think that's I think
And
that's great, you know. It
yeah,
it doesn't yeah. Yeah, it's like more organic somehow, you know, just or natural, you know, like and was it just you in the room at that time? Like was he recording just
yeah.
this?
For this first record, there was maybe a couple of times when I did it with the bass player, Barry Campbell, this amazing bass player, but it was never like full band yet.
Yeah.
That record, the Black
Yeah.
Tie, White Noise, it was pieced together, and it was cool. I mean, and I think after a while, it got to the point. Like I think usually if you did a David record, or just even if you're a drummer or you're a rhythm section, you come in, you're the first thing they usually want to get done with, and then you're done.
Right.
After a while, okay, now I'm hanging out and seeing how the sausage is made with David.
Man.
And it's not something you can really like, you don't know what's going to come out of him, but you got
Hmm.
to see it like kind of come to fruition because it's like, just like, okay, I'm going to do something here.
Right.
And it was, you don't know what's going to come out of him, but it was great to be in the room when it happened.
Did he usually have a vision of what a song was going to be, or did it tend to evolve? Like, were there things
Yeah,
that,
it's like when it presents itself.
yeah.
Because you might do something that will like it that might slightly take it off from where he might have thought it should start. And anytime a guitar player or anybody did something, and David would just like find his way
Hmm.
into it.
Wow.
I spoke to Dennis about that. I'm like, where some of the stuff he was doing, like I didn't, and it was more just like, yeah, I just did it. And
Yeah. I mean, when you have that kind of, like brain power in the room, that's when all the great music and all the great stuff happens, right? I mean, it's just all that creativity just starts flowing and it really
And
is
especially like
magic.
Nile too, like the two of them working
Oh,
together and
man.
watching them just like construct stuff, like where it just kicks in.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not an intellectual thing. It's just it's magic.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like they have all this stuff from their past, and they're able, like it's just moving around, and it's like just pick it out of the sky, like something it just random or something that'll trigger something musically. It might remind them of something.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing artist. Well,
And then
Sterling,
Nile continued to use me. Then we did a B-52s record, good stuff.
right.
So yeah, for a second I was like Niles, like I was like a poor man's Omar. I was.
Oh, oh, that's funny. That's so that was the early 90s, the B-52s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things like, but yeah, Duran had ended with me and them, and that then I came home and then, I started doing stuff like bits. And then I went to Switzerland for a while with this Swiss artist named Stefan Eischer. And that was amazing because it was mostly in Switzerland and France and all kind of either German or French speaking countries, whether it
Hmm.
was then, we even went to like Martinique and French Guiana. It was really, really cool.
Yeah.
But at some point I get a phone call and this time it's from David. So that's like, hello, Sterling. It's like, yeah, yeah. Like this is David. And he's so humble. He's like, do you think you might be available? It's like,
Wow.
when I'm doing the record this time with Brian Eno in Montreux, Switzerland.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. And this record was completely different because Brian was more an experimental thing. There was no songs. And talk about really have to think off the top of your head.
Yeah.
And
But
it was the winter. Yeah.
you must have felt like, not, I know you well enough to know you're a humble guy and you'd never let any of this stuff go to your head, but you must have felt like had arrived. You know what I mean? Like to have David call you directly and not.
I didn't think of it that way. I mean, I was just like, I was at this place where, okay, this Duran thing happened. I really didn't do anything. I didn't pursue it. It just
Yeah.
showed, like the Cyndi thing, it just showed up. The Duran thing showed up. The one thing I did is I really tried, all those years of playing in all those bands, all the music I listened to, preparing without, like, I wasn't preparing, knowing I was preparing. I just love music. So, at that point, more than anything, I was really deeply listening to a lot of music and I was always interested in anything that was new. And I think David picked up on that.
Mm. Yeah. I bet he did.
I was always interested in like what's going on at the zeitgeist of the times, and so. But at this record was so it was basically like Brian prompting us, literally, like writing out stuff. Like
Yeah.
it was just like you're this drummer on this off galaxy planet playing for miners. La la la. Like I wish I would have kept the
Man.
paper.
Yeah.
And he had one thing where it's like, okay, play water, play this. Honestly, I shrugged my way like this. I turned the snare upside down.
Yeah.
I just like, I was really kind of like semi goofing around because I didn't really know what to do,
Yeah.
but it was incredibly fun. And he had all these like crazy techniques. And the whole time, David's about like 5 feet away from me, didn't sing a note, just painted the 3 weeks in Montreux we were at Mountain Studio. I mean, honestly, I was into it just like looking at the back of record covers, like Queen recorded at Mountain Studios. Like that just sounded
Yeah. Yeah.
we revered these places.
Of course. Yeah.
Chateau, this,
Yeah.
Hansa, like those things meant so much, So I couldn't believe that I was recording
With
with
David Bowie.
David and Brian,
Yeah.
and every day, the day would start for 3 weeks. Like I stayed at this apartment. Everybody stayed at a hotel, and the apartment was right across the street from the studio. And every day, Brian would pick me up, and we would go have breakfast together. And he would just tell me stories. I mean, it's like
Man.
total, like kind of fantasy stuff, and you
Wow.
know, yeah.
What a
It was amazing.
amazing, amazing. I was going to say, I had 2 points I was going to make too, which is really cool what you're talking about, Sterling. This is so great to hear you recall all these stories. But what I think is really cool about this is we talked about Cyndi, how you just toured with her last year. So many of these artists you still continue to work with, and that says a lot about you. That I know the B-52s. I saw you at the B-52s in the mid 2010 or 2012. In fact, I was going to just show this picture of you and me and Joe Testa, who's now at Zildjian and Vic Firth, and
Yeah.
Simon Hansen from Squeeze when you guys
Oh,
B-50.
that's right. That's right. That was great.
That was a great show in Boston. And the summer of 2012, it was my last year at Zildjian. But I don't know if I ever told you this. I don't know if I told you after the show, but during the show, you had a side stage. You got us passes to kind of stand on the side so we could watch you. And Joe and I were taking pictures of you, but Kate, the B-52s people saw us taking your pictures and like gave us like a real like firm no pictures. So I was thinking, I hope this doesn't come back and backfire on you, but I don't think it did. But anyway,
No.
It was a great show, and and you just, my point to all that is that you killed that gig. I'd seen Charlie with him a couple of times. I saw Zach play with him.
Isn't that crazy? Like this has been this
I
funny
know.
merry-go-round
Of all you friends, and that's so cool. Like, and you guys all play it your own way, but kill it. It's just so great. Yeah. And I'll come back to the fact that you and Zach Alford both played with David, and you were like, like childhood friends, and I know he told me the same story. Like it was a dream of his to play with him, like it was for you. And I just think I think there's a lot of great karma in there for both of you guys too, because you're both just great humans, and besides being great drummers, and that counts for a lot, I think. That's why you've been working nonstop for 40 years.
No, it's been pretty amazing, I mean, I think about like, and it's funny, like we don't see all these different like us seeing Will Calhoun, we all kind of came up together. Larry Aberman and we just spoke the other day. I mean, gosh, it's like 45 years we've known each other.
Wow.
That's we are still doing it.
That's so great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was thinking we'd play a little bit of music. We've got some tracks. We've got 2 Bowie tracks we want to play. And I was going to ask you which you would prefer that we play, like in which order, Conversation Piece or Valentine's Day?
Play Conversation Piece.
Great. Okay. And is there anything you want to say to set this up now, or maybe we can talk about it afterward?
I mean, what was great about this is like how people used to do, and the bands did in the 70s, where they would tour and then they come right off a tour and they kind of go back in the studio, or vice versa. So we had just like, I think David really kind of like, we've gone through a couple of iterations of the late 90s band. Reeves had left. We had another guitar player, and like then Earl Slick came in, and then we toured. We did this amazing show at Glastonbury, and David got into this head of like doing his old 60s work. So he wanted to do this album of just his 60s work, but kind of reimagined.
Yeah.
And so we went into Sear Sound, and it was an amazing thing. It was so many like interesting people. Like Walter Sears is actually a funny dude, and the studio was great. So we had the whole band. We're all playing. Tony Visconti was doing the string arrangements, and May Pang, I think is
yeah,
which is she was like the contractor. And it's like the history in that room.
I was going to say, man, wow.
And that was the old Hit Fact. That's where John Lennon did his last albums.
Right.
So And it was great because we recorded like start to finish, and that's going to
Just
be the take, as a band.
everybody in the room as a band. Yeah.
So this song Conversation Piece was that, like usually we do one or two takes of it, and David would, sing a vocal with us. And yeah, that was so every record I've done with David, I did one where like there was no band or like just me and the bass player and playing the track. Then we do it when we do record as a band, but it's like completely like because I want to go back to that whole making that was called Outside, and the making of that was amazing because we had just like playing for 30 minutes because it was still the reel to reel, and then
Yeah.
go in the studio at times, and Brian would have a piece of paper that went from 0 to 30 minutes and watch him start picking out parts that was going to become the album Outside. And I'm
Wow.
trying to think like, I'm listening with him and I'm like, is he going to pick that part? That part sounds cool. Like, and just what he picked and what him and David ended up picking is amazing. Like their instincts are just
Yeah.
incredible.
And would they edit it
And
together?
it's not intellectual. It's like, it's just whenever they're going to choose to pick something out that's going to
Yeah.
move them.
Yeah.
Because it gets
Wow.
intellectualized afterwards with people
Right.
like, yeah, blah, 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 yeah, existential, la, 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 Bauhaus.
So let's play Conversation Piece.
Okay.
Got it queued up and ready to go here. This is great. Here we go.
Took this walk, ease my mind. Find out what's gnawing at me. One thing to look at me. That I spent a lot of time in education. All seems so long ago. I'm a thinker, not a talker. No one to talk to anyway. I can't see the road or the rain in my eyes. I live above the closest door, owned by industrial. Often calls me down to eat, and he jokes about his broken English. Tries to be a friend to me. But for all the years of reading conversation, I stand without a word to say. I can't see the bridge or the rain in my eyes. The world is full of life, full of folk who don't know me, and they walk in twos or threes or more, while the light that shines above the grocer's store investigates my face so rudely, and my essay lying scattered on the floor fulfill their needs just by being there. And my hands take my head, hurts my heart ticks inside my throat. I'm invisible and dumb, and no one will recall me. And I can't see the water through the tears in my
Man, I wasn't familiar with that song, Sterling, and I'm so glad we played it.
It's interesting because if you listen to the original '60s version, it's completely different, and you're once again, it's like I gotta come up with a beat. I gotta come up with a beat.
That
I
was
don't know what I'm gonna
beautiful.
do. What if I did this? You know, everybody's playing like from that place,
Yeah. What you played was
and that's
perfect.
what makes it fun. You know, we're
Yeah.
just kind of that would happen on stage. Like we would sound check and we would play like an old song just to see if like we would try to trick David into playing songs. So we'll play it at sound check. And then if he picks up the mic and sings, then he'll say, okay, let's do that tonight. And it was great, you know?
Well, that was beautiful, man. I'm so glad we
Yeah,
played that. And that was Tony, you said Tony Visconti, he did the string arrangement for that?
he did the string arrangements.
And he's playing
That's
bass.
Earl Slick on guitar, Mike Garson, Holly Palmer, Lisa Germano is playing on it, Galen Dorsey.
Yeah.
And we were like a unit. We were a pretty tight unit. And that became like, and then we had Jerry Leonard to come in eventually. And then it just kind of developed over like a 5-year span by the time we got
Yeah.
to doing the last tour of Reality.
What a great I mean, Earl Slick. I saw David in the 70s. As I said, Earl was playing guitar, and
Mhm.
and as a drummer, he was one of my favorite guitar players. That David live record from Philadelphia, I think, right from the 73 or 74, and his guitar playing was just, lights out. So great.
Yeah.
And I think I saw David with you also. I know I saw him with Zach. And I think I was lucky enough to see you with him at one point, and Earl was in the band.
Mhm.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, it was a beautiful song. Should we play the other David Bowie song? Should we
Yeah,
play
I mean,
Valentine's
I
Day?
mean, yeah, this was like my last track with David.
Well,
Uh,
maybe we'll save this. Maybe we'll save this
yeah, okay,
for the end, if you don't mind.
okay.
Yeah, I thought that was the case, and I think that would be kind of a nice thing to do to just sort of when we get ready to close out, we'll play that. But I thought we could play a song that I think I'm willing to bet 99 and 9/10 of everybody watching this show right now will know. It's a song called "Runaway Train" by Soul Asylum,
Hmm.
and this, I think in my memory, 96 was think when I saw you playing with them at Great Woods here in Boston, and I was saying to my wife today, I think you were playing an AOT drum set back
Yes, I
then.
did
Okay,
back then.
and
Yeah.
they were like new drums at the time, and it was the first time, and they sounded amazing, like your drums.
Yeah, they had
You
the wood
said
hoops.
exactly, yeah, and and that was like it just stuck in my brain, 30 years later.
Hmm.
But and this band was so huge. I mean, you guys were just, massive band. So maybe you could just talk about how that came to be, playing with Soul
Okay.
Asylum.
Well, as if anybody was around that period, like we came out of the '80s and got into the '90s, and then Nirvana showed up and basically pulled the rug out from a lot of people.
Yes,
So if you were the poster boy of anything '80s,
you're
you
in the
know,
unemployment line.
yeah. And I wouldn't say I was like in limbo. I was just kind of like hanging out, and I get a phone call from I don't know if it was Michael Beinhorn who called, but once again, it was like right place at the right time again. There was no cell phones. All this stuff that
Right.
happened, there was no cell phones.
Yeah.
It's just I happened to be there. And I pick up and it's like, hello, hi, we're doing this record, with Soul Asylum. This band Soul Asylum. It's their first big deal. They're signed with Columbia. And, and I'm like, well, what kind of music is it? They said, yeah, it's like alternative indie rock and stuff like that. I had no idea what that was. I had to call somebody, what's alternative? Because I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do it,
That's That's great.
But I did. But one thing I did, like talk about. I'll go back to like my prepping, like preparing for stuff. I really, when I listen to Nirvana, it's like okay, because if you listen to the Cindy stuff when like you played that, it was interesting because there was no like
Mm.
none of that.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. Yep. Big.
So
Yeah.
that's one thing I definitely took in to what I nothing like definitely less is more. I went into it with that energy.
Yeah.
And so, but it was still boom scott, boom boom scott. At
Yeah.
least that I knew there was an element of that there. So okay, I can do this, you know.
Yeah.
And
Killed it.
yeah, and kind of left to your own devices. I didn't get a lot of I just once again I kind of shrugged my way through it. It's you know I'm not saying it like that, but I'm like this. But I would do little things like stop or like there's a part in the song you'll see at first I'll just stop
Hmm.
and then another time where it'll break down and I just stop playing. I just thought it
Yeah.
would be cool and it became a part of the song and the arrangement.
That's where being a
I got
seasoned
to do it,
drummer
but let me
comes
tell
in.
you, like when back in the early '80s, man, and I'm sure even prior to that, I played in the besides playing with the Pedantics, I played in a ska band. I did like singers. I was doing like four or five things because there was the infrastructure. There was so many clubs, so many people like coming from all over the world started to
Yeah.
like go like there was this new era of music, and I just happened to be in downtown New York, and all this stuff was converging. Hip hop was just getting going. All the post punk stuff was coming in. There was all this electronic elements happening. Talking
Yeah.
Heads were on fire. Like you had amazing people who knew a lot about music. Knew like imports was a big deal. Record stores were a big deal. I spent a lot of time in Tower Records a lot of time. Like
Yeah.
closed down, Tower would close around 11, 12. I would be at the closing time finding records. And I usually found records by I don't know how they did it, but you can look at an album cover and tell if it's gonna be there was a good chance it's gonna be good. I don't know
Yeah.
how the art direction and the music got it right.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I know. There was a real art to that, though. I know. I know what you mean.
And everything
Hey,
was DIY, like there was a lot of DIY in New York City at the time. Like people were opening up clubs and people wanted there. Everybody was just
yeah. Yeah.
figuring it all out. And it was cheap enough in the city. More importantly, was the financially, you can work in a pizza shop, you can have a roommate and make rent and go out and do whatever it is you're gonna do. That's why it's challenging now.
Isn't that wild? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really good point. Yeah. I mean, I think back to when I used to travel to New York for work in the 80s and the difference between, like hotel rooms. Like if I stayed at the Mayflower Hotel up on Central Park, it's like
Yeah.
$100 a night.
Yeah.
I mean, that was,
If even.
yeah, if even, yeah. And, it might have seemed like a lot, but I mean, that hotel's gone now, but an equivalent hotel is $500.
Yep.
And it hasn't been that long, that it should be that much more.
Yeah.
We could talk about that, but I have to give a shout out just where you were talking about Nirvana and the grunge scene. An old friend of ours, David Abraziz, original Pearl Jam drummer,
Yeah, he's great.
great drummer, is watching right now as he's a frequent watcher. And I am going to have David on the show. I say that all the time, and we're going to do this. But he's saying happy to see both of us, and he's a big fan of yours. So
Oh, thank you.
yeah, yeah,
Thanks
he's a
a lot.
great guy, and what a great drummer. And he can certainly speak to that time. But
Yes, he was. I mean,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like I'm watching that. Okay, this is the new stuff. Like, can't why this is the new stuff. I have to listen to this now, because
yeah,
I didn't really know it. And that was the last time I tried to keep up with the Joneses, but I had no idea this was like covering under Like this thing just showed up for a lot of people, and they were completely surprised by it. It was such a
Absolutely.
surprise attack.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
And no, you're right. I mean, and to your point, it was certainly building over some time, but when it hit with such a force that it really, like you said, it turned everything. It turned the music industry upside down. Certainly, like bands like you said, '80s bands that were maybe in a 5-record deal on their third record of a 5-record deal that all of a sudden was going like, now what do we do? Do we cut our hair and get rid of the leather and get flannel shirts to try to like sell records? And it was a real head scratcher for a lot of bands.
yeah, I had shoulder pads. Just
Yeah.
I had shoulder and pastel coats on, but I was changing to
Yeah.
myself. I saw in England like it was getting more back to like a street level thing. Like especially like stuff that was coming out of Manchester, it was totally different. It was not posh. It was like dressed down,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
whole rave scene. And I got to like live through that too. And then like the whole thing happened with Nirvana, but then like the Britpop thing happened. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was pretty amazing to kind of like try to figure your way into it.
And
Yeah, I snuck in. I didn't, I got it through Soul Asylum. Whatever
man.
bit I can be in, I did
Yeah.
nothing.
Well, let's play this track. It's a great tune,
Okay.
and you sound great on it. If not surprisingly. So here's "Runaway Train," Soul Asylum.
So tired that I couldn't even sleep.
Yeah, those two spots where you stop. So did you tried that like during a run through and that became part of the arrangement? Is that how that worked? Or
I just did it as
you,
we recorded.
as a take, you did it during the take.
Mhm.
Wow, man. Yeah.
I
And
mean,
that, and that,
it's little, but it just felt like
yeah.
am I gonna play through it? It was kind of like that decision making, or am I just gonna play through it, or let me just stop and see what happens?
It was the perfect choice. And what you played, I can't imagine any other, like as I'm listening, I'm thinking like, it was just the perfect part, what you played, you know what I mean? And it supported the song perfectly. The song is about, the lyrics, the vocal, the lyrics, the story. And it was
I mean,
perfect.
I don't remember if he had the lyrics all together. I mean, I wasn't really listening to it. I wasn't like, okay, what is this about or anything. I just
Hmm.
played boom, scap, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, so that there was a couple of rockers on there, and I mean, it was fun. It was just like, because it was the first time, like, I'm in the generation of where, like, okay, you're the past. Here's now. I didn't understand that that's how it kind of always happened too.
Yeah. Yeah.
From the 50s to the 60s, the 60s to the 70s, 70s to the 80s, and so on. I just knew I wanted to like work. It was very practical. And so that record came out, and I had no idea it was going to do what it did. It's a big seller. And then they were doing another record this time around with Butch Vig
Mm.
from Nirvana, and
Yeah.
and then they asked me to join the band. So now I'm a band member again, but with a
Right.
totally different. This one was easier. I didn't have to do duck lips. I
Now
could
that
just
must, yeah. And how long were you in the band for? How long did that last for? Like from that
It's like
period?
it's like 4 years.
Yeah. And that was happening while you had it was before the Bowie gig though.
Well, then Bowie, this is what happened. Then as I'm joining the band, I get a call from David. I'm going on tour,
Okay. All right.
and I committed. You know,
Yeah.
I couldn't change my mind on that. I already made a commitment to them. But then, lo and behold, then after Soul Asylum ended in '97, I came back home. David calls. First, the B's called,
Yeah.
B-52s called, and then David called, and then I was like kind of juggling the two of them around, and then
Yeah.
and we had this one gig. He was playing Wembley Stadium, and I had a gig with the Bees in Atlanta, and I missed the rehearsal, which I told him because I had already had a commitment to it, but I almost missed the flight to do this gig
Oh
at
boy.
Wembley Stadium. So I'm like, sure, like.
Talk
Yeah.
about stress.
And that's when I said I can't do two. I'm never doing that again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
First
it,
of
and
all,
it worked. Yeah. First world problem, but it worked out really after that. It seemed to just all kind of work itself out. Yeah. Man. Well, should we play the other David Bowie tune, Valentine's Day?
yeah.
And
Okay, yeah. This was an interesting thing because I get a call from David. This is after you know, he was unwell. We ended the tour, the reality tour. He had a heart attack and we didn't play. Nothing. We knew what was going on, and David just kind of disappeared for a couple of years and slowly came out. And there was this rehearsal room downtown on Ludlow Street where all these amazing drummers, Van Romaine, a bunch of us had like studios in. And I was down there and I get a call from David, and David's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I'm like, "David, how you doing? How's you feeling? Blah, 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 blah." He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm in the studio on Ludlow Street and just, yeah, I'm just here practicing." And he said, "Do you mind if I come over?" I'm like, "No."
Oh my God.
So he comes over and he's saying, listen, I'm going to be doing a new record, but you can't tell anybody about it. You just, I'm keeping it real secret. And I'm like, no problem. So we start rehearsing for, he found like he really wanted it kept secret into the like non-disclosure agreements, all of that. It started coming to play. And we found this studio. It wasn't a studio, it was like a basement, like rickety rackety studio where David had his little four-track digital recorder and he played us his songs. And then me, Jerry Leonard, Tony Visconti are trying to figure out the songs. The drums are so bad, like I'm playing the kick drum and the kick drum's moving. I'm trying to learn David's songs, pulling the kick drum back. I mean, it was like unbelievable. We were in this like super stark basement-y, like old style New York basement. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And and eventually Zach did a lot of the record and I did 2 tracks on it. And one was this track, Valentine's Day, which was kind of the last track I did with them. And we cut it live with the band. Tony Visconti was playing bass this time, Earl Slick, myself. And once again, like people like, what was it like? What was like, and it was he had chords. And there was a guy, or a person who pressed the record button. And, okay, go. That has been my whole journey. So I did, that one is Outside Hours, Heathen, Reality, 6, 7, technically 8, because we ended up, after David passed, we redid Never Let Me Down. We did a kind of remake of it. So 8 records, and all those times it was like, it's scary because he kind of leaves you on your own. There's no direction. He's like, I hired you for you, do you, and he likes to work quick. So this track, I wanted to recut.
I was going to ask you
I
this.
wasn't happy with it. And he's like, no, that's it. That's the track. That's how it's going to go, like.
And what weren't you happy with? You felt you could have come up with something different or better or just because you really didn't, because that was a question I was going to ask you is, where you didn't have time to sort of craft a track like you did with Runaway Train. Well, even with Runaway Train, you really were kind of on the spot too. You had to just sort of kind of go, but
I guess I wasn't super stickler about it. Like, that's how he wants to do it. That's how it's going to go. I mean, if you read Ken Scott's book about like making of Hunky Dory and Ziggy, he was saying David, like 90 to 95% of his performances is one time.
Yeah. Wow. I have to read that. Yeah.
Crazy to think that he did those songs just one time. Like, and I watched him do it.
Yeah.
I watched him. We were doing this album Reality, and David was at that point, he was really into like eBay and winning and winning on eBay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was a time where like Tony was ready for him to do vocals, and David's like, no, wait. He was on eBay, like trying to wait till last minute to like, whatever you do on there. And it's like, and then it's like, got it. Goes in the studio. And this is what I'm saying. I got to see the Sausage Man. I wasn't just doing my partner. I was just hanging out now.
Mm-hmm.
And he would just go and get on the mic and like from start to finish, sing it as is, and then double it, and then put the harmony on it, like one after the other. And I'm like, this is why he's like him, Prince, McCartney. They're in that range that is, and Sinatra was like that. Like, no, that's it. other
level stuff. Yeah.
One time.
Yeah. Next level. Wow. Well, before we play this track, I do have a question from a friend, Malcolm Moore. It's a drum. We haven't got into too much drum specific stuff, so this is a good question. He said, what led you to using only one octoband with the blue kit when you played with Bowie?
Boredom. It looked like a cool thing to do. Honestly, I don't have.
Was it a specific note that you were looking for, the size that you used? No.
I thought two would have taken up too much space.
Okay.
But I like the doom, the sound of it.
How was it tuned high or was it tuned sort of medium?
I never.
I love the way you think, Sterling.
Put that up there. And honestly, I'm not. I'll figure out something to do with it,
Yeah.
But it looks cool.
That's great.
Honestly, I don't really have. Maybe I picked that up from like David. It's like, if you there's a thing with Tony Visconti talking about the making of heroes, and David would be kind of impatient. Like they were looking for a cowbell. There wasn't a cowbell around on the end of Heroes, and and instead of going out and get a cowbell, can we find something else? And they found a reel, and they play that.
Wow. So that's that sound.
On Heroes, yeah.
On Heroes, yeah. It's not, wow. Yeah. That's
so, I mean,
improvisation.
There was a bit of that too. Like, I mean, there was a little pressure on you because like even on Valentine's Day, like I tried for the first time, I never asked to do something over again. Either or we just did another take. When we did like 2 takes, and I don't know, but there's something about it. I can't even really remember specifically why I wanted to do it again, but I did. And they were like, no, that's it. We don't need to do that.
That's great. Well, let's play this track, and it's kind of bittersweet, I know, but I'm glad that we can listen to this and remember it and honor it. So here comes Valentine's Day.
Valentine told
Beautiful track. Kind of had almost like a Heroes vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of had like a that sort of a feel to it, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
moves along nicely. Yeah, man. So
Yeah, that was the last time I saw it, and I corresponded with him, but that's the last time I saw him like in person.
yeah,
Was that?
how soon after that it wasn't? Was it?
No, because it went on like that was 2013, 12 or something like that. So that
Okay,
was like 3 to 4 years before his passing.
before he passed.
I just
Yeah. But man, what a body of work you have to be proud of, Sterling. You know, I mean,
yeah, I mean it's
just any one of these bands we've talked about, let alone five. You know,
mhm.
it's pretty great. And
Yeah, I mean it's amazing, and there's some of them are still going strong.
yeah,
Like
I know. You just finished a week with Soul Asylum and touring with Cyndi. And so, is there anything coming up for this like summer? Do you have a summer tour?
yeah, the B-52s and Devo have been doing double bills, so we're going to
Oh,
Europe, and I think
yeah.
we're doing something in the fall.
Oh,
Um,
fantastic. Yeah, that would be
Maybe
great.
it's all up in the air. Don't
Yeah,
quote me on the fall thing, but I know definitely like Europe.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
if
yeah, that's.
if if you come to Boston, I promise. Tell Kate, I promise I won't take any pictures while you're on stage.
Yeah, I need to keep my gig.
But man, this has been so fun. I so appreciate you taking time today and catching up and chatting and we had lots of folks watching and lots of great questions. I just couldn't get to everything, so I apologize, everybody. But Sterling, you've been so great with your time today. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
All right. Well, I
Great.
want to thank everybody for watching. Big hand for Sterling Campbell. And Sterling, hang with me 1 second. I'll end the stream and we'll say goodbye. But thanks, everybody, and I'll see you real soon. And again, yeah, big hand for Sterling.
Thank you.
All right, that's my show. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, leave me a comment, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also download the episodes on all podcast platforms. And please visit my website, livefrommydrumroom.com, for upcoming shows and information on purchasing Live From My Drum Room t-shirts and hoodies. 100% of the proceeds go toward a scholarship I've created with the Percussive Arts Society. The link is also in the show notes. And you can contact me through my website or at livefrommydrumroom@gmail.com. And remember, no drummers are harmed on any show. And drummers, when in doubt, leave it out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll see you again real soon.